Hey everyone, Mr. MC here. This is Lap Guide for Nurburgring GP with the Toyota TS050 Hybrid. Let's get this started. If you're using a hybrid car, you want to start to use your braking and throttle at the same time from the moment that you gain control of your car. It's up until you reach the last turn where you want to go as you normally would in a time trial or in a race. This is just to make sure that you can start your lap with a fully charged battery and have it last as long as possible. So now going on to the lap guide, your first braking point is before or just before the path on the left ends. You brake hard for a short while in a straight line, gently turn in, gently ease off of the brakes. Just let the car rotate, get it straightened up, and then accelerate. Then use a little bit of braking to hit the apex, carefully accelerate, and then brake before the green area on the right ends. You brake hard for a short moment, quickly ease off of the brakes, just bring yourself to the inside of this turn right here, get the car straightened up, quickly accelerate for a short moment, lift off, just let the car rotate, and then get on the throttle once again. Now you want to bring yourself to the right and brake just as the track piece on the right end. Brake hard for a very short moment, quickly ease off of the brakes, bring yourself to the left, and brake when the red and white curbs on the left end. Brake hard for a very short moment, slowly ease off of the brakes, just let the car rotate once again, and then you can quickly get on the throttle. Just make sure you stay on the left side over here as you want to brake when the curb on the left starts. You'll be braking hard for a short while here. Carefully ease off of the brakes so the car doesn't slide around. Use a little bit of throttle, and once the car is starting to point away from this big white tent, you can then start to fully accelerate. You're going to get on the curbs for both sides of the track, and you want to do short lifts off of the throttle as you make your way through these two turns. Now bring yourself to the right and brake just after the dark tarmac on the right starts. You brake hard for a very short moment, quickly ease off of the brakes, take advantage of the inside of the turn, quickly get on the throttle, and you want to brake just a little early here. You can use just a little bit of braking, not too much, just let the car rotate and then quickly get on the throttle. Now here comes the really tricky part. You'll be braking before you reach the 100 meter mark. You'll be braking hard for a short while. Then when you turn in, ease off of the brakes. Take advantage of the red and white curbs. Control your throttle input, get the car straightened up, and fully accelerate. Get on the curbs on the left and brake before you reach the dry patch of grass that is on the left. You brake hard for a short moment. Slowly ease off of the brakes, just get really close to the curbs and carefully accelerate your way out. But that is all for the lap guide. Let's go ahead and talk about the strategies. For this race, it's going to be an easy no-stop race, but we'll talk about that in a bit as I want to mention a bit about the first lap. So you want to be a little careful here because your car now has fuel, which makes the car a lot heavier. Your tires are also pretty cold here, so you want to brake just a tiny bit earlier because this car is going to feel a little different. As you see here, I braked just a little too late and I almost ended up overshooting that turn. And as I go through this first turn, the car just doesn't want to turn because the tires are cold, and once again, the fuel on this car, it makes the car pretty heavy, so it's going to be understeering for quite a bit. So this first lap, you just want to be careful with how you approach all these turns, and once you get close to the end of the first lap, you can then find your groove and you'll be able to push the car a bit more. But with that out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the race itself. So we're doing 10 laps on Nurburgring GP with Group 1 cars, which is an interesting combination. And the fuel and tire multipliers are pretty low here. The fuel is at ×2. The tires are ×6, and we're on racing hard tires, which makes this race an easy no stop. So you don't really have to worry about the fuel nor tires at all. This is just an all-out race. One thing to mention is that if you are within 3/4 of a second behind someone, you're going to be encountering their dirty air. So if you notice that your car is understeering a little bit more and you're pretty close behind someone, that's the dirty air taking its effect on you. So you want to be a little more careful about how you go about these turns so you don't end up understeering into the off-track area. So now let's quickly talk about which cars will do good here. So we do have 3 cars that will do good here when it comes to time trial. And those cars are the 2016 Audi R18, the Porsche 919 Hybrid, and the Toyota TS050. So when it comes to 1 lap pace on time trial, they're going to do pretty good here. They're going to be able to have enough battery charge to be able to quickly exit out of turns and get some good lap times. But when it comes to race pace, this is where the Toyota TS050 ends up being the best one out of the 3. So one smaller reason why this car is going to be the car that you want to choose is because it's pretty stable because of its drivetrain. It's a 4-wheel drive, so it's going to be a stable ride. The only thing is that it's going to be a little more understeering because of that. The other reason why it's the best car, and the biggest reason of all, is because it is really efficient with its hybrid batteries. So this car does a pretty good job when it comes to recharging the batteries, and does a pretty decent job when it comes to releasing the battery charge to give you the boost out of the turns. So you'll be able to get more consistent times, faster times as well, than the Porsche 919 in the Audi R18. And the thing is that with this car, the battery charge will be able to help you out for a longer period of time throughout this race. And the last thing I want to talk about is battery management, because that is going to play a big role in this race. So you want to try to have a bit of battery charge whenever you're going through this track. Try not to have it drained all the way, as that's going to end up biting you whenever you go through a high-speed section like the main straight. So as you see here, I have no battery charge as I cross the start finish line. The car behind me ends up saving a bit more of the battery charge, so they have a bit more to play around with, and because of that, they're going to easily end up passing me because they were able to make the boost last longer. So when it comes to battery management, one of the things that you need to do is to bring the brake balance towards the back of the car. And also, I don't know what happened here, I guess I was lagging. But anyways, going back to the race itself, the battery is charged faster when the brake balance is towards the back of the car. So you want to have the brake balance at 1 or +1, +2, or +3. This will also help the TS050 rotate around the turn a bit more, while you're still able to get a bit more of that battery charge. One thing I do want to note is that at +3, so 3 points towards the rear of the car, the Toyota TS050 will start to get a little sketchy, especially through turn 1, so the car will be a bit more prone to sliding. So if that's a little too much for you, bring it down to +2 or +1. The reason why I do not suggest bringing the brake balance to +4 or +5 is because the rear brakes will lock, especially for turn 1 or for this chicane coming up right here. The rear brakes will lock and you have the risk of spinning out because the car is starting to lose control. So only bring the brake balance to +1, +2, or +3. The final thing I want to note is when the hybrid charge charges up and releases. So obviously when you're braking or using some throttle or no throttle at all, that is when the batteries start to recharge. But once you're going in a straight line or in a generally straight line, going at full throttle, that is when the batteries start to give you the boost. So as you see here, I'm braking a bit more and the batteries are recharging out of the brake balance at +3 at this point in the race. Using some throttle, the batteries are still recharging, but once I start to go at full throttle, going in a generally straight line, that is when the batteries start to give me the boost. However, you can delay the boost by continuing to turn in. So for example right here, you can see the little red dot on the bottom of the screen. I'm still turning in, going at full throttle, and the boost didn't activate for most of that part of the track. Once the car is straightened up, that is when the boost starts to activate. So you can try to continue to turn in for a bit more to delay the activation of the boost if you're trying to save up a bit more, as that will come in handy when you're trying to pass someone, and if they don't have the boost needed to keep up with you, then you can easily overtake them, even easier if the car that you're competing with isn't a hybrid at all. But that is pretty much it for this guide. Once again, this is an easy all-out race, but if you're in a hybrid car, you do need to keep in mind the battery management so you can have the battery charge that you will need when you need it. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and sign off now. So this is Mr. MCA, wishing you a good race, and I'll see you in the next video.